Hey guys, it's the Brightside with Mikey and Rachel. I'm Rachel.
I'm Mikey.
And we're here to talk about Lindy Hop, our opinions, and basically whatever else we feel like it.
Like being a brown dude. Is it fun?
I don't know. That was actually a question that somebody sent us. It was like, hey Mikey, is it fun being a shortish brown dude?
And then they answered it. Yes, it is. Thanks, Josh. Josh the car.
I read that question. I was like, there's a girl on this podcast too, y'all. Let's not forget about her. All right.
I know, but I asked you. I did say it out loud. I said, hey, Rachel, isn't it fun to be a shortish brown guy?
And I was like, I wouldn't know.
I wouldn't know. I mean, imagine.
I'm short.
Yeah.
But Jewish. Which means I'm very white. It's like the other white meat. It's like pork.
Other white meat.
The
really.
other.
Yeah. So how you been?
I've been good. I've been really busy, taking a lot of improv classes this past week, seeing a lot of shows.
And?
Oh, it's been so much fun. I have my 201 performance on Sunday.
Wait, does that mean like there was a 101, right?
There was a 101.
So they name it like that, like college?
Oh, yeah, it's like college courses. So it was Improv 101.
That's awesome.
I'm in Improv 201, and we're having our class performance, a.k.a. recital, Sunday at 6 p.m. If you guys are listening, you can come.
Yes.
Cheer me on.
Do it.
I can't guarantee it'll be funny, but I can guarantee you that I'll be there.
And that'll be at the
Upright Citizens Brigade at Franklin. $5.
$5 for, what could be a horrible or amazing show.
Yeah.
Right? Everywhere, anywhere. You never know with improv, right?
Yeah, you never know what's going to happen with improv. It could be really great. We did a couple run-throughs of what the show is going to be like today in my class, and it was super funny, actually. People were laughing really hard.
That's awesome. That's really good. That's really cool.
It was great.
I love it so much that you're taking that. I know we talked about it, like this is our third show now, and we've talked about it pretty much every show, but I'm like proud and horrified at the same time because I'm like it's so cool, but then I we all do this. We hear something, we put ourselves in that situation. So I put myself in that situation because before we started recording, you were telling me about these exercises you were doing.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that makes me so uncomfortably nervous, and like I'm really cool, but I don't want to do it. Oh my god. And then I open my eyes and I'm like, wait, I'm me. She's talking about herself. I'm such a prick right now.
It's
thinking about only myself.
My 101 class, well, my 201 class even more so actually. It's like really terrifying to go up in front of people because you just perform all of a sudden, and then you have to be critiqued in front of the whole class, and you're standing up there by yourself with one other person, and it's like you have to be so vulnerable to accomplish so much in that kind of class.
Are you guys actually trying to make people laugh in that sense, like in the class, like not in the shows or anything? The shows, of course, I would imagine like you're trying to perform, but like in the class, are you honestly trying to make someone laugh, or are you just trying to like try some stuff out and then try to get the feedback and then trying to make people laugh?
We're told to never try to make people laugh.
Oh.
My teacher said something really cool today, which was you should never try to be the character that you're being. You should try to be truthful to the moment.
Ooh.
I know. He said that, and I was like, that's a quote that I could put on my Facebook page.
Do it. Because like that's some Gandhi shit right there. That's some
really
good, deep blowing out your life.
I think like what they really try to preach at UCB at least is that like you don't need to try and make like a one-off joke, because you'll get like a quick, cheap laugh, but that's not going to make the scene funny. It's about the whole scene and like how you interact with your partner and the behaviors that you have between each other and what's unusual about it, and like how does it relate to real life. That's what makes improv so funny. And like I think about that in dance so much too. Like it's not just one trick or one cool move that you do. It's the whole performance or the whole choreography or whatever you're doing that makes it, whole and complex.
Yeah, I think of it as like especially in dancing, like I think of it like an inside joke, but like everybody knows the inside joke. I try to make it as obvious as possible, but without going too far. I think that too far ends up being too cheesy, like in dance.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's a level where it's just perfect. Like someone like Jimmy Kimmel or like Jimmy Fallon or like Will Smith. Like people like that, they ride that line where every once in a while, like if they just take it a little further, like it's real cheesy, but like they can hit that line, you know. But being a comedian and being a dancer, every once in a while, it's gonna be like you're gonna hit a flat note. You're gonna be like, okay, moving on.
Yeah. Not everything is gonna land.
Right.
But if you stay truthful to the moment, truthful I put in quotes, in air quotes, then you don't have to find what's funny, because what is funny about the situation will come naturally to you, because weird, unusual things happen to us all the time. And so many times we just let them breeze by us, like the way somebody reacts to something or some weird tick that your coworker has. And we brush it off because we're like, oh, no big deal. We pass by it. But in improv, we point it out and we say, hey, that looks weird. If this is true, what else is true? How can we elevate this even more?
Nice. That's awesome.
What have you been up to?
Oh my God, I'm so fucking tired. I just got done. You just
did the tango show.
Did the tango event.
The
festival, yeah. And it was really funny because we were doing it in the same place we do Inspiration Weekend.
Okay.
With almost the same exact staff.
Okay.
But just completely different like atmosphere and people. But some of the people knew me from Atomic. They've seen me around, so they would ask, like, oh, they would come up and ask me, oh, Mikey, you do tango? And I always said the same thing. It got really tiring by Sunday, but like it was funny for me, at least for a little bit on Friday. They would ask me like, do you do tango? And I was like, no, I'm just brown.
You should have just been like, yes.
You never knew. And then I just like slowly embraced them. Because if you didn't know in tango, it's just like you just kind of look at each other and then you like kind of gravitate towards each other.
You don't ask each other to dance.
Apparently, it's like leaders ask the followers to dance. Like that's the more proper way. I mean, you can think of whatever you do, whatever dance, and think that is a little weird. I think it's a little weird, but at the same time, it's just part of their culture. Like I was talking to a couple of the pros about that.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, we're trying slowly to like kind of not phase that out, but like make it a little more even. And like the pros, especially because some of the pros, like Noelia, who's Max Petroza's wife. She was there, and she's considered actually one of the best in the world. Like that teaches and goes around. I didn't
realize that.
Yeah, it was crazy amazing. Like their performances online is really amazing. And then someone else like Soledad, that is up close to that level. But I was talking to them, but they both understand the Lindy Hop scene very well. And so yeah, it was very interesting. It's a different culture for sure.
Yeah.
So I was working my ass off like intentionally. I knew I was going to because I wanted to make sure that was a good event because it was the first time they did it, and yeah, I just wanted to be like make this as good and different as possible, and but still. So I mean, the cool thing I learned from it is running an event is pretty straightforward. You know, make sure the attendees are having a good time, make sure things are clean, make sure things are running. Yeah, maybe not on time, but like whatever.
Trying to be as organized as possible.
Exactly. So that was the cool thing I learned from the weekend, but. You know, like a lot of late nights. We go late in Lindy Hop, and I feel like tango dancers actually go later.
They do go later
because they'll start like 11 or midnight. Like that's when the start of the party really happens for them. So for us starting at like 8 or 9, they were all going, "That's weird." And I was like, in Lindy Hop, in American Lindy Hop especially, like I feel like that's perfectly on time. You know? Europeans start a little bit later too sometimes, but yeah.
Well, when I was in Argentina, it wasn't typical to eat dinner until at least 9 p.m.
Yeah.
Like if you were hungry at 5 p.m., you had a snack.
Yeah.
Like a little tiny snack and a couple drinks, and then you go get dinner at 9, 10 p.m., and then you go out dancing at midnight, and then you come home at 7 a.m., and then you get to go to your job at 11 a.m.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's so true. Like, it's crazy just kind of being around that scene. But thank you to everybody who, they're probably not listening to this, but like still, I'm going to say it anyways. Thank you to all the volunteers. Thank you to all the staff. Thank you everybody that was there. Make that event really, really awesome. I thought, it was really fun. But I'm really tired.
Yeah.
Like today, like I told you, like I did a ton of stuff today before I came up to your house. But like I was just like, I gotta get shit done. And now I'm in like cowbell mode. Like I'm helping with cowbell, and now I'm like, all right, going full blast. Like last night, watching the Olympics and doing some like work and like doing 3 different things at once, like scheduling things on Facebook, and then like emailing, and then contacting all the people that are in the group for cowbell. Like I was just like working like an animal. I felt like Michael Phelps, like, you know, just going for it, making a snarly face. Yeah.
Lindy Hop's Michael Phelps right here, you guys.
Except a little shorter, a
little browner.
A little browner. I want to talk about something first before we like really jump into like all the little bits and pieces.
Yeah.
I would love to get. I mean, I'm just springing this on right now. So if you need time, tell me. But
don't worry, you guys. It's going to be a shocker.
What was that you can remember right now without having to think too much? What do you think was like one of the best Lindy Hop performances you've ever seen?
I would say that one of the best Lindy Hop performances I ever saw was at Frankie 95. It was the Silver Shadows performance.
Oh,
They're a tribute to Frankie Manning.
Oh, man.
Like that weekend already was extremely emotional.
Exactly. Because he had just passed away a month before.
Yeah.
Before his 95th birthday.
And the spirit was moving in them when they performed.
Oh, completely.
And I think everybody felt it. It reverberated through me. I was in tears.
That opening piece, they dance as Shiny Stockings to begin with. And I was in the room when they were trying to figure that out with the lighting people.
Yeah.
And they were trying to get that spotlight in the middle of the floor. And they just let the music play for a little bit, that whole intro, with nobody on the dance floor and just one spotlight on. I was like, I lost it too. I was just like, oh my God. It
was haunting.
But they completely nailed it. They completely nailed the idea and the spirit of the dance along with the spirit of Frankie, like everything, every beat. And then just the simplicity of them coming out and doing a Frankie move that they had learned from Frankie himself.
Yeah.
Each one of the couples coming out and doing that. That was just, it
was so good. And it certainly didn't hurt that they were some of my favorite dancers to watch.
For sure.
At that time,
For sure. I mean, even today, I think.
Even today. Yeah. What about for you?
For me, I mean, nothing so prolific, but definitely something that I think a lot of people kind of underestimate or forget. And that's, I can't remember what year, but it was Stefan and Bethany at ILHC.
Ooh, which?
Blue Heaven. My Blue Heaven.
Blue Heaven.
It was their first, like, really big, like, they would have been already dancing many times before. You know, and then they just kind of like take turns coming out and like presenting themselves to the crowd.
Oh,
and then they
right,
do the clap.
Right. Yes, that was all of their performances were so great.
One.
That one that they did to the Harlem Ham Fats.
Yeah.
Do you remember? That one was so good.
But that's the thing is like Harlem Ham Fats and that version of Blue Heaven is I had his name. As a violinist who also used to sing with Django Reinhardt back in the day.
I'm terrible with musician names.
Oh my gosh! If you guys are listening to this, let me remember the name. Oh my God! Okay, well, anyways, but yeah, he played in his own band.
Okay.
And then he played in Harlem Ham Fats as well, and he was the main singer. So like they gravitated toward that music style kind of music of jazz.
They did.
And it fits so well. Like their bodies were meant to do that. And I remember them chatting up with them back in the day. They were so interested in, before it kind of came a trend a little bit now. It is now. I mean, that's not a bad thing, but it just means more people are doing it. Back then they were like the first ones that start telling people like, take African classes.
Yeah.
There's some really amazing movement. It may look difficult. It may look strange at first, but you will see where all the moves we do kind of originated from. If not, you'll just understand movement in a different way. And they did some of those moves in the routine, along with just like some trippy, like out of the box ways to get in and out of aerials and like continue the dance. Things that didn't like make sense to me, but like at the moment, but how I look back, and I'm like, that completely makes sense. And it's a totally different way. And for me, from that moment, that routine happened, it changed. The next 2 years afterwards, a lot of people were doing their kind of style of performing and like musicality especially. Unfortunately, that's what actually drove them out of the Lindy Hop scene, because they felt they didn't want to become a trend. So they were like, we need to just do this very, very carefully. And then eventually kind of gravitated away.
Yeah.
I talk to them every once in a while on Facebook. When I see them post, I'm like, I'm gonna talk to them real quick. I miss you guys. What are you guys up to? You know, stuff like that. They're very happy with their farm, and now they're traveling.
That's good. Yeah. Good for them.
Yeah,
I do miss them though. One of my favorite classes that I took of all time was from them.
Was it a Soul Chain line?
No, it wasn't.
It Lindy Hop class?
It was a Lindy Hop class. It was at Midwest Lindy Fest. I don't remember what year it was, but it was a fast-paced class, like some sort of choreography class or some sort of advanced class. And it was so energetic, and the class moved very quickly and was super challenging. And the way that they taught was so simple and direct. It was so good. It was so good.
They were amazing. I often miss them. I miss their energy. I miss their influence on the scene. I understand why they had to step away.
Yeah.
But definitely that routine, My Blue Heaven, honestly changed the scene. For those people who just started dancing probably in the last 5 years or so, don't really understand it. So check them out. Stefan and Bethany, ILHC, I want to say 2009, maybe 2008.
Yeah, it was in the beginning for sure.
It was definitely the beginning. It was the first or second year. I remember that for sure. They killed it. I don't think they won, but I don't care. Like they won the crowd vote.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So in that sense, like we talked about a group routine and then a kind of a showcase routine.
Yeah.
Do you think a Lindy Hop routine, like if today, if you were to watch one and say this is a great one, do you think it involves having an aerial step, like an air step, something that throws the follower leader in the air?
Not necessarily. I mean, I think if the music calls for it, then I'm happy to see one. If it's well executed. I find that a lot of people these days add aerials for the sake of like adding an extra level of difficulty.
But don't you think that kind of works? I mean, like I definitely agree with you. As an extra step, make this look that much more extravagant, much more bigger. I think it works sometimes, but like, don't you think like then that's a dancer pushing themselves and kind of should be awarded, or do you think it depends?
I think it depends. Like for me, when I'm watching a really great performance, I'm watching someone who has deeply connected to the music and is like expressing themselves in the best way possible through that music. And if the music doesn't call for an aerial, then I don't want to see an aerial.
Right.
And I know, like, I think we're actually in a very long trend right now where aerials are not very prevalent in performances or competitions. You see them every once in a while, but it's not how it used to be where, like, ULHS 2006, 2007, every other move that, like it was like crazy aerials, and they were super fun and impressive. But I think now the dancing and the skill level of the dancers has progressed so far that they don't need those aerials anymore to make what they're doing impressive.
I completely agree, especially in the same sense of like kind of we've seen a lot of these aerials many, many times, and it's almost to a point where it's like it's just finding this middle ground where you're trying to be progressive and like change these aerials and like maybe change the entrance or change the exit or maybe combine them like how you would with any normal move in the dance, and then also finding like where it fits in the music. Does this really call for it? I think a lot of the times when I see a routine and it throws an aerial, like I'm not that impressed. I'm more scared. And maybe that's just in general, like I'm just a little scared of like, don't fall. Like I'll be, that you're clapping along and then like, and you know an aerial's about to happen and you kind of slow down and you're like, you don't clap for like a couple beats. And then afterwards you kind of slowly get back into it.
Yeah.
That's how I feel a lot of the time.
Story of my life is clapping and not clapping through performances.
Funny thing is if anybody is ever watching a performance or a competition and they're sitting next to Naomi Oyama, like, she is one of the funniest people to sit next to when aerials are happening because she just can't help herself. She gets ultra scared and she'll like grab on to anybody next to you, like a leg or an arm or something, and just and like she just needs something to like dig in. And I forgot about that a long time ago. We used to hang out and she would do like, and I was like, we'd laugh it off and she's like, yeah. And then I was sitting next to her one time in Harang, and that was a performance was happening. And then she did that, and I was like, oh yeah, that's right. You do this thing. Ow, my leg hurts now.
Bruises.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, you've done a bunch. I mean, we both done a bunch of choreography and prepared to do stuff, whether it be in performances, non-judged, and then competitions that are completely judged. What have been your like fondest experiences of putting some choreography together?
Well, I really like the artistic aspect. I I really like choreographing a lot. It's very challenging for me because I am a terrible leader. So it's
the age old like horribleness of being a follower, like and going, oh my god, how do I lead this? And then the same thing as being a leader, like just go, like such horrible things that we feel for each other.
I've been like, I have this idea. Leaders, I want you to do this thing where you kind of move me like this, and I want to end up in this position, and then I want to be here afterwards, and I want it to look in this kind of a shape, and then I have to like work with the leader until I'm like, that's what I want.
But that's so valuable to me. Like I feel like at least having a partner, whether a leader or a follower, doesn't matter. Because I mean, I've worked with leaders before too, where we change off or just in general. For me, over time, that aspect right there of like you have an idea and we'll flesh it out together, like is so good. And I love being in a work atmosphere where you can say things like that, very vague, and then I can maybe ask a question or like, okay, how about this? Or, you know, we the lucky thing about Lindy Hop is like, it's like 10 moves and then you mix and match different feelings and different things and then you get a whole brand new move. Yeah. So like, I mean, like, there's a good chance we can get onto this somehow or make it simpler and then make it harder later and kind of go back to that original idea.
Yeah, I think when I was on Groove Juice Special, one of the most rewarding, I would say the most rewarding thing about being on that particular team was that we were a very collaborative team. There was no team captain. There was no one person who choreographed the choreographies. And so even though we would spend hours bickering or fighting or arguing or feeling frustrated about a move that we can't agree on, like at the end of the day when we had this beautiful performance, it felt so good to be like, yeah, we all made this, and we know that it's better than what it could have been had just one of us performed or choreographed it.
Was that back in Albuquerque?
Yeah, that was back in Albuquerque.
Albuquerque days.
Oh, the days of yore.
The days of yore and green chilies.
Yes.
Oh.
It's just green chili, no S
Chilies.
at the end. You
No
don't
plural?
say,
No
you don't,
plural?
no.
So like if you have a bunch of green chili, it's just
green chili. It's like sheep. You have lots of sheep.
Just sheep.
Yeah, it's like sheep.
I'm going to say it's a murder
moose.
of chili.
Moose.
The murder of chili.
You got moose?
Mice.
Moosin.
Mice. So, yeah.
What about you?
Man, experiences so many.
I mean, you have probably performed at least like 3 times as much as I have.
I mean, the thing is, at some point, you have to do things that you don't want to do. And I mean this in that sense, but it like I can't, like, there's so many memories. I'm like literally trying to file through them right now. Okay, I'm gonna start with some bad ones, and then I'm gonna go with some good ones.
Yeah.
So like some bad ones would be like some things, like I said, like sometimes you have to do things you don't really want to do. And by that, I mean, like, when I was younger, we were on this team with Memories at Memories Dance Club. And we did this, like, hip-hop, before Electro Swing, so hip-hop swing thing. Okay. And I just remember feeling so horrible. And then I got really into it. And I really liked it. And we had a couple parts that were, like 8/8 of, like, hip-hop dancing. But I'm not talking hip-hop dancing from the 90s. And this was already the 2000s. I was like, this
I learned
is
the hip-hop swing, Lindy Hop swing out.
Yeah.
It was... God. Terrible.
Yeah, I know. But the thing was, like, at some point, if you're gonna perform it, then you want to sell it as much as possible. Like, think for instance, like people like at Disneyland, like that do these, like, they're professional dancers. Those guys have been training since they was like probably 3 years old on ballet or modern or something, jazz, and then they go to Disneyland and they're like, okay, you got to do this and you got to do this and you got to kick here and then you got to turn and then you got to, like, look surprised at Mickey and Minnie walking up the center of the stage, and all while dressed like a giant green half-naked fairy. Yeah. Like, you know, like, it's just not saying that it's a horrible thing. I respect those people and I respect those things because they're doing what they got to do. Yeah. Because they love to dance. Sometimes you have to do those shitty little jobs. Like, every artist that I can ever think of in the history of, like, music and painting and sculptures had to do something to begin with, to hone in their skills. So for me, like, all those bad experiences, in air quotes, like, are really more of, like, experience that I can, like, chalk up to.
Right.
You know, like I'm building up my experience points and leveling up as it is. But that time was so crazy. But I mean, also like on the side, that was the time when I was dancing with Mo Jones, who ended up being arrested for stuff.
Yeah.
Let's just say sexual abuses. And I mean, before that, he taught us some really good stuff. He got me into all these different things of I need to pick my words better. Performancing was really fun with him. Performancing was really fun with him. Got it. But I mean, it ranges from that where it was like, ugh, and I was a kid. I was like probably 16, 15, somewhere around there. And then it ranges to that to like the last time I worked on last year with the piece with Joe. And
that performance was so great, by the way.
Thank you.
I watched it and I was like, wow, this is different.
It was supposed to be different for sure.
But it was so refreshing. I watched it and I was like, oh, thank God.
When we were doing it, and working with Joe is very funny because obviously Kevin and Joe have a huge name together, and rightfully so. They work their fucking asses off. And in a style that is very similar, because I've worked with Kevin, me and him together, and I work with Joe, us together, separately, and also in my own couple and working with them.
Right.
And it's always just a little bit different. And they are really good with going with the flow and never not always working on the same ideas, but working on ideas. As in like, if you have an idea, okay, we're gonna work on it. We do it. We see, flesh it out. Okay, my turn. Okay, kind of like passing the ball back and forth, and then helping each other. Yeah, and at the same time, but they have like a kind of like a structure of how to do it. You know, pick a song, cut that song, put pieces together like this. We're gonna do this there. We're gonna do that there. And then Joe has this thing of like, I need to know what I'm gonna wear. And I always find that insanely weird, but it makes perfect sense because she's like, if I'm gonna do aerials or ground tricks or this stuff, I need to know what I'm gonna wear, so I need to move stuff and whatnot.
Yeah.
And you'll see if that when I work with Joe, like there's a moment where I slide her through my legs onto the other side of me, and she found a moment to like move her skirt because I needed to step next to her, and every time we were practicing it, I would step on the skirt.
Okay.
So then she would move it. Like it's just you wouldn't even notice it unless I just said it, unless I was talking about it with you. But yeah, it's like stuff like that like really makes sense. So like while it's a very intense way to look at choreography and stuff, and a very very regimented it may look like to some people, it makes a lot of sense because of those little things. Like you don't want to step on someone's dress in the middle of a routine with like thousands of people watching you. No, you want to make sure it looks clean as possible. And yeah, with that routine that I did with Joe last year, it was meant to be completely different. It was we broke our own structures of how to choreograph and how to put a performance together, and I'm very proud of it because let me backtrack, because when we showed Kevin what we had been working on for the past month and a half, he said the first question he asked, and this is a question he asks himself all the time, it's like, are you doing this routine to win or just doing it to do it for yourself? And I was like, that's very polarizing, but I'm gravitating more towards doing it for myself and doing it for ourselves. And he's like, cool, perfect. Then you should definitely go with this and like keep it going. Cause like there was moments where we had, in a rough version of it, we had like very clear Lindy Hop, like just to be Lindy Hop, like as in just to suffice for our quota of Lindy Hop in the routine. But then he's like, you should get rid of those two sections and add more of what you're doing as opposed to that. Because if you're going for that, go for it.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. How do you feel about people who choreograph to win? Do you think that's it's like a valid perspective? Or?
Yeah, I really do. Because I think if you're going into a contest, there's no problem with it. You don't always have to. I mean, obviously, like I can only take me for an example, and maybe some other people, but I wouldn't know. I wouldn't talk for them. But for me, with that routine with Joe, we did it for ourselves. We did it to prove that we could do some more with it. Yeah. Something more with the dance that we already know. Take it further without kind of losing the idea of Lindy Hop. And we got third place in ILHC, and then we got first place in Camp Hollywood. It's just like we still got awarded for it, and like for us, that's amazing because we weren't expecting that at all. I wasn't expecting it. I don't know about Joe. Maybe Joe was like, first place all the way, you know?
First place.
Yeah. But honestly, like people that go into contests, dancers that go into contests in Lindy Hop and they want to win should completely go for it.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. I think there's no problem in that at all. But if you're going to do it, you got to go full on first place. You got to believe it. It's like almost, I think that there's a negative feeling towards it because it reminds us of bad guys, as in like villains, because like bad guys
like
in,
you're
comics,
selling out.
Yeah. Like in the sense of like comic books, like the thing that makes a bad guy is they think they already won. There's nothing in their head that says they will lose.
Yeah.
And so I kind of sense it that way, at least from my perspective. That's how I kind of see it. But for me now, kind of seeing so much of performing and doing it myself and so much competing, you should be going for first. Like, definitely go for it. Like, pull out all the stops and don't stop until you made it to that podium, you know? Like, go for it. Get that trophy, get that jacket, get that fucking medal. Go for it. Get that little plaque. Whatever. Do it.
Do you think from an artistic standpoint that choreographing to win loses some artistic integrity?
Only like you were saying before, only if they're not being honest to themselves. Does that make sense?
Being truthful to the moment.
Yes, being truthful to the moment, 100%. I think people like have dance styles.
Yeah.
Like I definitely think like individual dancers and then on top of that, couples have very clear dance styles, and like you can kind of count on them to be silly, or you can be like ultra thinking about like minor little things in the musicality of their dance, you know, or like doing big tricks or like whatever. You can expect that from some people, and that's part of the style of who they are and what they like to do and what they bring to the dance.
Yeah.
But as long as like those have been cultivated over time, and I really feel like that, of course that came from them. But there's a different thing because our dance is so subject to every person and every person's experience with another person dancing, and then how they're feeling that day or that night or that weekend, or, you know, where they are as in level of their danceability, and then how they feel confidently, or how they, you know, so much goes into just that moment that it's hard for us to see us plan a moment so far in advance.
Yeah.
But the thing is like we already try to do that when we talk about social dancing and trying to have a magic in the dance. I can't teach you that. No one can teach you where the magic is. You have to create these moments. And so when you're out there in front of people, you have to help create this moment. One of the things that always helped me performing, especially, and another one with Joe in the slow dance contest a long time ago at ILHC, someone told me once that you're dancing too much for yourself, and she is dancing much more higher than you. So you have to come up to her level, to Joe's level. And I was like, oh my God. And then it went further, and you not only just dance on her level, you have to enter her world. And I was like,
dang.
Oh man, that's fucking beautiful. Like, of course I do. Because the prelims, we were okay and we could feel it. And then the finals, like I just entered her world and made it about her, and like made, you know, we were in Candyland, for instance, like everything is pink and unicorns and amazing and hair.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And I entered there and I went with her 100%. So like that's creating a moment that we can try to recreate.
It's so funny to hear profound things like that. Like you can hear them 1,000 times, but it's just that it's said one particular way that it's a total knowledge bomb on you, and it just illuminates you all of a sudden.
Yeah,
you know?
It really does. Yeah, totally.
That happened to me a couple weeks ago in my improv class.
Really? You're taking improv class?
I know, right?
I had no idea.
I know. Let me tell you all about it.
Okay, cool.
My teacher, somebody was asking what is the best way to practice or to improve your improv when you're not in class. And he said the most valuable thing that you can do for your improv is listen. And when you learn to truly listen to someone and give them your undivided attention, that's when you can play improv well, because you know exactly how to play off of what they're saying. And he said that, and I was just like, whew, like it just hit me straight in the face. And I was like, oh my God, all of these things like dance came to the forefront of my mind immediately, obviously. And I was just like, oh man, it's crazy to think about, like, if I just listen to my partner and listen to the music, I can be a better dancer. Yeah. I can improv better on the floor.
I mean, who knew?
Who knew? It was
obviously
so
your
crazy.
Improv teacher.
My improv teacher did.
He knew.
He knew.
He knew. I'm assuming it's a he. I don't know why.
Adam.
I think Adam. Of course, it's an Adam.
Of course.
Yeah.
Adam.
But that's so cool. Like, cause like, I think you have to have a level of ability on the social dance floor to actually perform well, at least in our dance. I can't speak for any other dances, but like at the same time, like if you have a presence in the way you dance, that's kind of chalked up to the honesty, being honest with yourself in the moment, and feeding off the atmosphere you're in, and feeding off of what your partner is giving to you, and then you giving something back to them, and then the music, and then if there's a live band, like kind of getting all that feeling, and it's completely different. Like I feel like I go up and down because I'm extremely moody when it comes to dancing. Like sometimes I have these moments.
Fun fact about Mikey, if you didn't know him, he's a very moody person.
Very moody person. Don't talk to me in the morning. It's not a coffee thing.
Or at night.
Yeah.
Or at noon.
Just don't talk to me.
No early afternoon
Stop
talking. No
hate
late
you.
afternoon talking.
Asking me all these questions. I just want to talk into a microphone. That was a little too real.
It got really real there for a moment there.
I got really real.
Do you put on a certain facade or like energy when you are competing or performing? Like do you put on like a showboaty kind of energy, like look at me world, here I am performing and ready to win?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, definitely when I hit the floor. I
and what does it look like for you?
It looks like it looks like everyone is dressed up like kabuki monsters. And no, I'm just kidding. No, I don't know what's going with that.
What?
Yeah, you were shocked. You were
what?
like, you were really with me on that one.
I was like, wait, what? No, like.
No, I mean, okay, so like I feel like this is a multi-layered thing. Like
yes,
for me, it's like I don't feel like it's like a facade. Like I have negative connotation to that, but I do feel it is a part of me. It is the most extreme part of me. It is the most outgoing part of me. But the thing is, for me, when I perform, I don't want to be looking at the crowd all the time. I want to do it when it makes sense. When I'm maybe not dancing with my partner, like a soloed section.
Yeah.
That is definitely geared towards the audience, unless I gear it towards my partner. But most of the time, if you look at my performances, I'm watching my partner. I'm looking at what they're doing and trying to listen to what's going on because we've practiced so much, but I'm still trying to be in that moment.
How do you feel about when people are competing, for example, and they're swinging out and they are only looking at the audience? Like if you're judging those people.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I was like,
am
I judging or not?
Say you're judging said people and
man.
they're like looking at you instead of looking at their partners while they're swinging out. Does that negatively or positively impact how you're going to rank them at the end?
Let me start with that one. No, it does not help or help them or hurt them.
Okay.
When I'm judging them. But in my head, I'm going, stop looking at me, motherfucker, and look at your dance partner. There's no reason you should be looking at me at all. As in, like, especially leaders, when I see that happening, because, like, basically they can be looking at the audience on 7 and 8, and 1 and 2, and 3 and 4, and 5, 6, they turn around, and then 6, they're already looking back at me. So basically, just for one count of a swing out.
They're like staring at you the whole time, and then they turn away to blink, and then they come back and look at you again.
Pretty much. I feel like it's like a smile, and then like, and then back to normal, like breathe. Like they're having sort of like a conniption fit, like wake up, and then back to normal, like you would never know it happened. Nothing happened back there. Everything's fine.
Perfectly fine.
Everything is fine. But like that, I personally do not like that because I think it's like that's the level. That's the level of like it crosses the line to like cheesy. And again, cheesy isn't a bad thing if you can like ride that line of like where it's kind of funny. Like if you're doing it on purpose to stay something, it makes sense. But yeah, it's like sometimes like that.
How do you feel about major cheesiness in a competition?
It depends if it's well done. Like I mean, like old school Andrew and Karen.
Oh,
like
man.
they went full on cheese, and like it was beautiful.
I feel like their humor in so many ways though wasn't even cheesy. It was beyond that. It was their own thing.
Yeah. It was like, I mean, if you put it in like comedian terms, like I feel like it was like what is it called?
Like slapstick.
Yeah, like slapstick. Exactly. Yeah. And like, and that sense of like, we're gonna fall over this chair, like old Dick Van Dyke. Like we're gonna fall over this chair, and it's really funny because it's funny to see someone fall. Also, it's kind of topical.
Yeah.
Because like they would do things like I was talking about earlier, like that might be trendy or there's like an inside joke for our whole community, and we all laugh together because we know we've all been in that situation or something like that. So, and then other times it's just like to feed
like
their
so off the wall and kooky, like that time that they came out dressed like tennis players and they brought tennis rackets.
Yeah.
Everybody was like, "What are they doing?
What are you doing? This is hilarious, though." But they would sell it. They wouldn't. They would
own
down.
it. They would own it.
They would completely own it. So like some stuff like that, where like if they were doing a routine and they swung out and they looked at us, it's because they planned it. Yeah. And they're like honestly making fun of something that they've seen before, and like we've all seen it.
No, what about the follow? How do you feel when the follow looks at?
Yeah, there's just moments where like if you're swinging out straight into a crowd, into like the main crowd in front of them.
Yeah, if you're doing like a forward swing out.
Yeah, if they're looking at me, then they better have some like really good strong connection, because I've seen follows look and basically turn over their left shoulder and look at the crowd in front of them or judges in front of them, and then like get pulled out of it, and you could see it and like, oh, that's ruining the technique of it. Like that looked like it hurt, and that's when I'll take a point off.
Okay.
As in like, ooh, that's some bad connection. That's some like hurtful stuff. If it looks like it hurts, I put a point down.
What if the couple that goes out and competes doesn't look at you once?
I'm okay with that. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I feel like there's no need for them to make contact with the judges. And this is a personal thing. I don't feel like everyone needs to do this because, again, it's personal style. Lindy Hop is such that American, like that old feeling of America of like, I'm going to go out there and do it for myself, independent and all that stuff. And I feel like that is drawn into a couple.
Yeah.
You know, that feeling. So like if a couple wants to do that, that's awesome. You know, but for me personally, if I was dancing like that, I don't ever need to go to I mean, like there was a contest a long time ago where it was in a, I want to say it was in Texas, but I don't remember where. And the couple were dancing, and they were relatively new, but like they were like really into it, you know, like really into like dancing, And they did a contest, and it was like a Strictly, and they came out and like she ran out to me, like they did like 2 swing outs and then like let go, and then she ran to me, and I was like, oh no,
like,
dear
oh
God, it's happening, they're gonna murder me, and then like just sat in my lap and like kissed me on the cheek, and I'm pretty sure like the leader pretended to take a picture or did take a picture out of his pocket.
Oh my God, that's like, so funny.
It gets better. Then they changed, and the leader sat on my lap and kissed me on the cheek and took the picture.
Oh my God.
And then they got up and then they started dancing again, and I was just like, what the fuck just happened? Oh my God.
That's
and I like turned around, I was like,
funny.
Did that just happen? Did it just happen? Yes, it happened. Oh my God.
How did they do in the competition? Do you remember?
Probably last. Like I remember they're dancing. Like I can see it. I can't remember like how all the venues end up looking sort of the same. But I'm feeling like it was Texas, somewhere in Texas. But I think they didn't make finals. Like they were really, really new.
Oh, so it was prelims.
Yeah, it was prelims.
That's so funny. I feel like I would not do something like that would take up so much time.
Exactly.
In the music, because you're wasting all of this time where you could be showing off your skill level instead.
I'm pretty sure they did 2 swing outs, did that whole thing, and then did like 2 more, and then walked off. It was like a phrase battle thing.
Oh
so
my
maybe
God.
It was finals. I don't remember. I just remember it happened.
Wow.
Just remember it happened. But I was like, yeah, like stuff like that. I'm like, I can't give that negatively or positively. It was just in that.
It's like an incomplete.
Like, yeah, it's like an incomplete. Exactly.
Like I can't say yes or no because they didn't complete the task. Yeah, so incomplete.
I can't. I have no grade for you, but I'm really disappointed.
I feel disappointed.
Yeah. It's tough. It's tough, and I think in that same sense, it's like it has to vary in the sense of like doing a showcase where you do routine, or when you social dance. The magic still has to be there somehow, and that's kind of luck of the draw when it comes to like a Jack and Jill.
Yeah.
But what I would say is in a Jack and Jill, maybe you could speak a little more on this. In Jack and Jill's, I feel like if you're a good follow, you should be able to still like do awesome things if you want to, because don't think just being a follow like hold you back because like, well, my leader wasn't doing this. I was like, again, 10 basic moves that you can make look fucking flashy as hell, and I know you can do it. You just have to do it, because there's all these negative connotations of being, you need to be follow and you should just follow, and I'm looking for you to follow. I'm like, yes, I'm looking for you to follow. And then there's one more statement after that. What can you do with that follow? And I think you can talk so much more about this.
That's actually something that I've really struggled with. I historically do terribly in Jack and Jill's. I have made the finals so few times. I've been in like so many Jack and Jill competitions. And
what was the last one you were in?
The last one I was in was at Camp Jitterbug.
Last year?
This year. I did not make finals.
Oh, shit.
And then before that, I was at Lindy Fest. Mm-hmm. I did make finals and I got second, which was like a huge shock to me.
With Anthony, right?
With Anthony Chen.
Shout out.
I know. Well, when it happened, I was like, well, we're going to win because Anthony is here. So whatever. I shit you not. That's what I said in my head. I was like, well, I'm getting partnered with Anthony. We'll probably do well because people love him.
Yeah. But also you had history too. Did you really just think of just him?
Yes. Oh. Yes, because I have historically done so terribly in Jack and Jill's, I think, and I think this thing about like just following has been something that has really held me back, because like, for example, at Camp Jitterbug, I got a partnership. We did not jive together. The person who I was dancing with was not dancing on beat. He was... he must have been very nervous because he was like very Yankee and very high strung and just kind of like all over the place. And it was a fast song. And I was trying to just kind of like still look like I'm having fun and hang tight, because I felt like I was in a place where I couldn't do much more than that. But I also feel like, you know, the fast song is like where you really weed people out. Can you connect with somebody
definitely, for sure,
above 200 beats per minute?
Right.
If you can, you're
awesome.
golden. Yeah. And that's a difficult task for a lot of people.
Yeah. And that's where my kind of statement kind of goes a little bit wrong, and it gets very difficult for follows.
Yeah.
I mean, even leaders sometimes, for sure. Like, I'm not going to say it's only one-sided, but let's say 55, 45%. Of the time, it's like it's a little more followers are in the struggle.
Yeah. Now, on the flip side, I would also say that like it's entirely possible that I could have done more for myself. You know, just kind of gone rogue and not listened to him so much, and just been like, this is where I'm gonna dance, and you can choose to be here or you can choose to not be here. But then, am I gonna get marked down for not being a good partner?
Right.
Because now judges can see that I am deliberately not listening to my partner.
You know what's funny for me? It's like, that's so funny that you bring it up, because for me, when I see that, and it's very, very easy to see. For me at least, it's very easy as a judge to be like, okay, this follower is doing the best they can. What I do is I go, okay, I make a note to make sure to look at that follow again. Yeah. As opposed to mark them negatively or positively. I would try to look at them again, or the same thing for a leader, whoever's dancing. Then if it's a Jack and Jill, and I try to watch who I'm watching for, leaders or followers, or if I'm watching both, then I make a note, make sure to look at them again, make sure to see what they're doing with what they're given. Yeah, you know, it's kind of like one of those MacGyver moments where it's like, okay, you're given a toothpick, a timer that's broken, and a floppy arm.
What do? Go.
Yeah, go. Now save the world.
Save the world. Yeah, that's really interesting, and I think that it could actually be very helpful to a lot of followers, because I know for years I've been like, what do I do as a follower? Like, I've been in competitions before where someone didn't even know a basic, like a single time basic step, rock step. They just like swayed side to side with me the entire time. And I was like, what are you doing in this competition?
Yeah. That gets really tough. That gets so tough, especially in our dance, because it's not really like leveled as like maybe American ballroom where they have like bronze, silver, gold classes, and you need to know this, and this, and these techniques and all this stuff. And that's what makes our dance so amazing, but also it kind of hinders it in many ways. Sorry, that mic won't get away from me. But yeah, but I don't know, like it's such a struggle, but there's always, I feel, ways around it.
What do you do to prepare for a competition?
Ooh, so much.
Do you have like a certain warm up or like a certain song that you have to listen
like
to?
right before I go out?
Yeah. Do you have to like wear, like, what do you wear?
Well, I mean,
what are your rituals?
Sometimes like it varies. Like I don't have the same thing. I definitely don't have the same rituals. Like I have like, sometimes I'll need a song for sure. Like something gets me like really pumped up, like some Kanye West or something. Something gets me just angry for no good reason. And also makes me feel weird.
That's fun.
Yeah, but like, what I need to do is keep moving. That's the general one. Like, keep moving. Don't stay cold. I remember doing this contest when was it? 14. It was 1999 U.S. Open Junior Lindy Division.
Okay.
And this is online.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's the
Everybody look it up.
It's the one with me dancing with Cassandra, and
it's golden.
I'm in like this brown old school army outfit, and she's in like this gold pinafore, and there was 14 couples, and we were the 13th couple, or maybe it was 13 or 12, whatever. The second to last. That was us, and I sat down throughout all of them, all the ones before us. So that was like at least 10 couples, right? It was 20 minutes, let's say.
Okay.
Around 20 minutes, if not more, sitting down. Just watching, kind of looking at them, like just staring off and not moving at all. And I remember Cassandra coming, I was like, do you want to practice? I was like, no, not yet. Do you want to practice? No, not yet. And so the couple before us, and she's like, you sure? I was like, okay, I'll get up. So I get up, I get up out of my seat, like start to get up, and my legs like don't respond to anything. And I sit right back down. Like I fully
so stiff.
I got so stiff and so like no blood in my legs.
Oh,
and I got up and then I sat right back down. And I turned around. I was like, I can't move my legs.
Did you have a small panic attack in that moment? Because I would have.
I smelled. She's like, just kick him around a little bit. And I was like, okay. And then
you were like, I can't move my legs. I have no legs.
Yeah, I have no legs. What are we gonna do? Forfeit? Oh my god. Yeah, and that happened like very, very early. Again, I was 14 years old, 1999, and oh my god! And ever since then, that was been
quick lesson learned.
And that's been my general thing: keep moving, run around, do little kind of jumps, dance around a little bit, go through routine in my head by myself. But always, 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 I am nervous. No matter what contest I'm doing, no matter what performance I'm doing, I'm always nervous before I go out there.
What happens when you're not nervous?
It's never happened.
Really?
It's never happened. It's never been a moment where I'm like, I got this. No, I'm fine. No, I'm 100% nervous every time.
Have you ever been in a contest where you just didn't care?
Mm-mm. I've always cared. Because I want to do good, not just for me. I want to do good with the person I dance with, for them. Jack and Jill's, it's a little bit easier because I don't know who the person's going to be.
Yeah.
But if I'm in a contest like a Strictly or a showcase type.
Wow.
Yeah.
I commend you.
I commend you.
I feel like not everybody does that.
Oh my gosh. There's been a couple times where like afterwards I'm so full of nerves, and then as soon as I hit the floor, I'm just like smile and like look good, and like that's where that part of me, again, it's not like the facade, but it's just a really extremely outgoing version of me, or part of me that just goes out and takes over. And then afterwards, when I'm back behind, like after I'm off the floor, after I've finished, I like crash hard, and I like sometimes I get emotional, and sometimes I'll just like I'm like need to go away from everybody. I'm just
Moody
gonna cry.
Mikey strikes again.
Seriously, completely 100%.
Wow.
As my friend Shasha says, art is moody, and you're a moody motherfucker.
That's so. I have such a completely different way of going about everything.
What happens to you before contest or performance?
Well, I keep moving.
Yeah.
I try to stay warm, and I have to. If I get too much inside my head, I don't do well. So I have to tell myself that I don't care about I don't care about the competition. I have to be like,
hey Rachel, how do you feel about this competition performance thing?
I'll be like, meh, whatever.
Oh, am I about to do it?
Oh, am I gonna do it?
Are we gonna do this now?
Oh, are we doing something? Is this a thing?
I guess I'll do it. I guess.
I mean, if you insist. I mean, if you really want me out there.
I didn't really prepare for this, but.
Yeah, I find that when I pretend that I don't care about something. I can live in the moment a little bit more. I can be a little bit more free. And I think that's part of what my struggle was for so long in competitions, was that I cared so deeply about making finals and doing well that I would physically freeze on the floor, and then I wouldn't make finals because I didn't dance well, and I would be devastated, and it would ruin my weekend.
Yeah.
And that's so hard to deal with, event after event, year after year. And it's like I'm torturing myself entering into these competitions and paying all this money to go to these places just to feel so terrible about myself. And my self-esteem was just plummeting.
That's the worst.
Finally, I got to, and I think part of it was that, like, for so long I had this expectation that I needed to become like a full-time traveling dance instructor because I was teaching full-time locally, and I wanted to be traveling, and I felt the best way was to like network and to put myself out there and to win competitions.
Right. That's a way, and that's totally valid. Yeah,
that's
for sure.
Legit, right? And so there was all this pressure on myself that I was putting on myself, and
everyone's watching.
Everybody's judging me.
Yeah.
And it became too much. And I think once I moved to LA and I was no longer the leader of a scene and no longer teaching full time or like teaching classes full time, I just kind of let go. I was like, who cares? Who cares anymore? Like, do I care? Does it really matter at the end of the day how I did? Nobody's going to remember. I'm not important to anybody.
Because I mean, even if then, like, there's always like a next thing, next week, next weekend. You know, the 3 other events and 3 other contests, or 6 other contests. You know.
Yeah, and so
that's the funny thing. It's like
I've
flavor
had
of the
that
day.
mindset, I've done so much better.
That's awesome.
I've done so much better, but Jack and Jills are still a struggle for me.
Yeah.
I will be competing in the Jack and Jill at ILHC.
Oh yeah, everyone should root her on.
Root me on. We'll see how I do. In all honesty,
watch you end up winning it, and everybody's like, "What the hell was she talking about?"
Rachel gets first place.
She is.
Well, it's so funny because what happened? Oh, I placed in the Strictly at Camp Jitterbug this year, and Rebecca Decavita. There was like somebody posted a picture on Facebook, and Rebecca Decavita posted a comment, and she was like, "Rachel always wins everything." And
I love that.
She is like
fucking
the
perspective, man.
The sweetest person. I saw that and I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me, because I don't feel that way at all.
It must have been the last name. It's like there's another Rachel Dahlenburg
in
Sweden.
Surely there has to be another one.
You're thinking of the blonde one.
It's the blonde one,
not the Jewish one. But okay, I'll take it.
The Jewish one.
So, do you think competitions mean a lot for our dance scene today? Like, do you think they're still like needed? Do you think they're still meaningful?
Yeah, I think there's always value in competition. It causes people to strive for something, to have goals, to work towards something, to be really inspired by something.
For sure.
And we also are part of a community that doesn't have standardized rules or levels or much of any structure at all.
Yeah.
How do we judge or base like who is better than who? Like, who gets to teach at this world-class event? Who gets to be the headlining teachers at ILHC?
Or just in general, like, what's good?
What's good?
What's good out there? What's happening?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's such a powerful thing. I remember seeing this TED Talk a long time ago about hip hop dancing, but about how technology has elevated it to a different level, because you can see what some kid is doing in Korea that day, and then they upload it, and then somewhere in Canada or Mexico, another kid watches that, takes that, and does something else with it. So it's like that. It's elevating the scene all around. And makes it more worldly scene. So like all these competition videos people watch like crazy to see what's going on, what's going good. I think I completely agree with what you said. I think a little bit of the con ends up being it's a little bit too much based on that, and it should be more like I'm speaking to event organizers, and you can run your event however the hell you want. I really don't care, but my personal opinion is don't judge it off of a contest that you see one time, because just because they dance really well doesn't mean they're the best teachers. But at the same time, like it's a good way to judge of what's going on out there.
Being a good dancer and being a good teacher is two very different things. And I think that is something that maybe has taken a long time for our scene to learn.
Yeah.
Maybe something that we're still learning.
Yeah, I think so.
I would say for myself, I'm probably a better teacher than I am a dancer.
Yeah. It happens a lot, and that's really good.
I feel like I excel at teaching. I'm not the best teacher.
Yeah. But
I feel like I have a good idea of what people need in a class.
You know what we should do one day, just as like a side thing, is like we should actually teach together.
Yes, we should.
And then we should do like not talk afterwards, like don't even talk about how it went, and then we talk about it on live, like on a podcast.
We should do
that.
That
would be hilarious.
That would be so good.
Yeah, but also good for everyone else to hear, but like hilarious for us to hear.
Yeah. It's interesting because when I was teaching in Albuquerque, the people who I taught with or who were teaching around me as well, like at Rhythm, the studio that I owned, we all taught in a somewhat similar way. And it was purely based on like what our scene needed at that time and what we thought would benefit them the most. And when I came to LA and started teaching at Lindy Groove, so at Lindy Groove, they have 2 drop-in lessons every week, a brand new beginner lesson, and what they call a challenge lesson, which is for people who have taken the beginner lesson, taken Ben and Sherry's Lindy Academy classes, and then they can go into the challenge class. And it's supposed to be a class that's really difficult. Okay. It's supposed to basically mind melt them.
Okay.
They're supposed to leave feeling very frustrated. And it's fascinating watching all of these people teach because it's so vastly different than how I teach or how I view teaching. And they grew up in a really big, healthy scene. Yeah. And what they do may or may not work for them. I don't know because I'm not taking their classes. But it's so interesting watching other people teach. That's like it feels like it's on a completely different world from me sometimes.
I'm trying to learn the language first.
Yeah, I like watch them and I'm like, oh wow, I would have never thought about that.
Okay, I guess that works too. Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I've had those moments. But let's go on to the question of the day.
Yeah, our question of the day comes from Matteo Mannino from now Los Angeles. He was from San Diego. He says, my strategy is this. There are girls who mind and girls who don't mind. When I change my shirt, I ask the girls who mind to dance first, then move on to those who don't mind. But I always wonder, do they all mind the sweat but are too nice to say? I love that he has submitted this question because this has been a topic of conversation in the LA scene recently. Also, and it's
just so funny to like hear that because like that is the way he speaks. Like
it's to a T.
Yeah.
And it's something that I've been noticing a lot lately. It's been a big topic for me. Because it's summer. People are sweating and like it is so hot outside. I think
so. Just real quick, before you answer this in the long way.
Yeah.
Do you mind?
On the whole, no.
Yeah.
I don't mind. And my response to that is, why should I mind if they have to touch me and I'm sweaty?
Yeah.
What if I'm wearing a dress that has an open back and I'm sweating? Mm-hmm. They have to touch my bare back. Mm-hmm. And they at least pretend to be cool with it because what guy wants to be like to show that he's grossed out by my back sweat?
I think that's That's exactly it. I didn't want to like say it because of that, because that doesn't happen too often for me, at least. But I know for a fact when I start dancing, I don't think about it. And then like maybe at the end, like I'll touch them or like, hey, how's it going? Or like, thanks so much for the dance. And maybe a hug, maybe a side hug or something. And then I'm like, oh, they're sweaty. Like it's so funny. In the moment, I don't notice. And then after the fact, I notice sometimes.
The thing that I do mind a lot is when leaders wear sleeveless shirts, tank tops, and I'm talking specifically about men here. Not all leaders, men. When they wear tank tops and they've got really hairy arms and they're really cold and clammy. There's something about it.
It's a very, very specific group.
It's a very specific group of people.
In the Lindy Hop scene.
And I think it's a very small group of people.
Yeah.
But I have had experiences with them before. Yeah. And it is not pleasant. Now, it is not something that I can't handle.
Disclaimer.
You know, like this was something that was being talked about the other day on Facebook amongst some of the dancers in the LA scene. Somebody was asking if they should wear cologne or if they should wear use certain kind of detergents for their clothes to see if they could like ward off the smell of their sweat.
Oh, yeah.
And I responded and said that touching somebody who's really sweaty or smelling someone or like their BO isn't always pleasant, but it's always like my nose is so much more capable of dealing with natural body odor than it is to harsh chemicals of detergents or colognes or other things.
Yeah, I totally understand that. I think my nose is about the same way too. It takes a lot for me to be like, whoa, what is that?
Yeah.
But even if that, like, I never thought about that, like the smell of like colognes or detergents or something like that.
I've only been noticing it lately because I feel like I've gotten really sensitive to it. Like when someone walks by me at work and they smell really strongly, I start sneezing. Yeah. Or I start coughing, or it like chokes me, or it like assaults my nostrils, and I'm like, "Good God! Like, do you think you smell good?
2 fingers up the nose.
You are killing my nose."
But I think for me, I am thinking about it. I know I've had moments where I'm like, oh my gosh, I did not bring an extra shirt, and it usually happens when I have like dress shirts on.
Yeah.
And for me, mostly my sweat comes on my back, and there's always like a bit of a slap to it every time I notice, because I don't really feel it, and then someone like
slaps and
by
it's
accident.
It's like and it has like that suction.
Yeah. Exactly.
And you're like, oh, hello.
A nice like sting to it, and I'm like, ooh, okay, all right.
I'm sweaty.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Sorry. And that's when I like take a break for a while. But like that's also why sometimes dancing in a jacket does sometimes good. The sweat will come through, but it kind of like soaks it up in a different way.
Yeah.
As a guy, for me, I mean, whoever wants to wear a jacket, I guess. But for me, when I wear a jacket, like it helps a little bit. But I mean, change your shirt. Do stuff whatever you think you're gonna feel comfortable in. Try not to overdo it, because obviously people have different kind of ideas or different.
Yeah, I mean, here's the other thing. Like, if you're sweaty and you change your shirt, your new shirt's gonna get sweaty again. I understand that as a follow. That's called science. You know?
I mean, duh. You're gonna get sweaty. You're probably gonna get sweaty in the second one too.
Also, like, if you're not sweaty, you're not having fun.
Right.
I want you to have fun.
Yeah.
Get a little sweaty. I'm a little sweaty.
I remember this one time a long time ago at a UHS when they had the after parties in a giant frat house.
Okay.
And I had really long hair back then, like real long hair. And it was like my whole head was long hair. And it got so sweaty and fucking damp in there, because it was the old days of ULHS where we were just like,
and were those the days that you did the hair whips all the time?
Exactly.
If you watch any old videos of Mikey competing, it's like every other swing out, he does this really massive hair flip, and People cheer for him.
It was a thing for a while. It's just like there's
thing.
people out there. They're going, what is she talking about? I have no idea. That's so strange to me.
That was before the nicely coiffed hairstyle came in.
Yeah, exactly. That's when I didn't have a receded hairline.
Stop! Your hairline is fine.
No, you see this scar right here? You see this scar? I have a scar where I used to have a wart on my head, and I used to have to pull my hair back to see it. It's like a dent. It's like a dent in my head.
No,
and
I
then
see the scar.
It used to come on top, like the hairline used to come before that.
Stop! Are you serious?
I'm dead serious.
Okay, but if that's true, then your forehead was literally like an inch and a half.
No, it was
large.
like this. Yeah, it was like this.
Yeah, it's like an inch and a half. That's so tiny. That's
and then
too
now
small.
it's like that. Now it's like that.
That seems improbable. Foreheads can't be that tiny.
Look, I mean, my head is real big. You forget. So here's the thing. Here's the story. So at UHS, I was there, and it was an after party. It was really crazy. It was an old, stupid house, old frat house by the time. And oh my God, it was such a best and worst idea at the same time. I was sweaty, and I stopped dancing, and I kind of walked in front of some people, and I didn't know I walked in front of some people, and I just whipped my head back. And like
I whip my hair back and forth or side to side.
Literally, no, it was hair back and forth. And I was like,
my
boom,
God.
bop, and back behind me. And then I didn't really notice. I noticed someone went, ah,
like
and it was like
the Little
three
Mermaid.
Voices. Yeah, no, it was like three voices, like definitely like ah, yeah. And I Little Mermaid them out of the water.
Oh my God!
And I didn't put it together. It took me like 5 seconds, and then I was like. I slowly turned around, and they're like, like
you
they had just
showered them
like,
in Mikey juice,
or like slimed. Like I slimed them like Slimer of Ghostbusters. Like they were like hands out, like why did you do this? And I'm like, I'm so sorry. And I grabbed them like paper towels, and I'm like, here you go. I'm so sorry.
Slowly backing away.
Yeah.
Oh, now if that had happened to me, I would have been like, okay. Hold on.
You would have taken out your scrunchie out of your hair and like, here, take this.
Like, excuse me. my worst sweat story is some guy had been visiting in town in Albuquerque, and we were dancing. He was so sweaty, so sweaty, and we were dancing Balboa, and afterwards. When I disconnected from him, he was so sweaty that his sweat went through my bra. And fun fact about me is my bras are padded because let's face it, everybody, like these girls need a little help.
Real talk.
Girls
need help.
#
girls need help.
They bitty titties. And the padding in my bra was completely soaked through. Like I pushed on my bra
and it came out
and sweat dripped out of it. And it was wet for the rest of the night, which may not sound like that big of a deal. But in New Mexico, it's so dry that when you get wet, like if your shirt gets completely soaked through, it dries in like 20 minutes or 30 minutes and then you're fine. My bra was wet all night long. It did not dry until the next morning, which by that time had been in the dirty clothes because I had to wash it.
This is a hilarious story, but also those of you who obviously cannot see this, she was touching her breast the whole time, patting it just like this every time.
It wasn't
and
just
it was
touching.
so funny.
It was slapping.
Assaulting her breast every time. She's trying to get the water out still today. All right.
Her name is Clementine.
It's
extra fun fact.
It's extra fun.
Too much information?
No,
Probably
she's the good
not.
one. She's the good one. The other one's the weird one.
She's the good one.
Okay, so we come to the end. Rachel, what is your bright side of today's podcast?
Well, I think that we touched on a couple enlightening topics about competition, things that could be helpful for people in the future even helpful for me about like not doing well in competitions, like Jack and Jill's. Like, what can I do for myself to improve so that I can do better in competitions? Because it hasn't been that I haven't cared this whole time, because I do care a lot, and maybe that's been a major part of the problem. I care too much.
You just care too much.
I care too much. I have a very sensitive soul. I do have I'm very sensitive, you guys. Don't make fun of me too much, because I might get upset. Or I might turn around and make fun of you in return.
Or she might soak her wet bra on you.
Yeah, I might push my wet boob up against you. And then how about them apples? Huh?
Ew,
gross.
Payback.
Disgusting. What about you, friend?
Yeah, I mean, we did talk a lot about competitions and performances, but for me, I think the bright side really is like what you said at the very top, being honest with yourself.
Oh, yeah.
That is like the best
Being
part.
truthful to
Being
the moment.
truthful, being
Isn't that
honest.
such an amazing
It really
sentence?
is. It really is, because it brings up these memories, and like I've had so many conversations with people that I admire, and that I truly call friends, like yourself and many other people that were. It's so enlightening, and those things that I learn are always about the same type of things. It's like, stop caring so much about what other people think about you,
Yeah.
what judges think about you. Care about what you are, what your partner is doing, and
Yeah.
what is going on in this moment, and be more accepting about that. And then you will see that you'll not only become a better dancer, but you'll become a better person. Like I feel, if it wasn't for dancing, I feel like I mean, those of you who might know me out there, whatever you think of me, but
Bad things?
bad things
Question
are
mark?
fucking, like, I'm a crazy psychotic nut and does weird things. But like, honestly, like, if it wasn't for dancing, I don't think I would be the person I am today. And I really do like the person I am today.
Sure.
I mean, there's always cons to ourselves.
Room for improvement,
Yeah, room for
shall we
improvements.
say.
Yeah, but I really like it, and I really chalk it up to dancing, and having those honest and truthful experiences really helped me along the way.
I think that when Groove Juice Special was really hitting its stride, the dance team that I was on in Albuquerque, we were really good about being true to ourselves, particularly in one routine that we had, because it was super wacky. and literally the entire time we were choreographing, we were like, wouldn't it be funny if we did this? And then we'd be like, oh, ha, 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 that's funny. But what if we really did it?
And then
we would do it, and then we'd be like, wouldn't it be funny if after that we did this? But wait.
Every time it's like, it's just a joke. It's just a joke. But what if we did?
And then we choreographed it, and then we were like, are people going to like this? And then we were like, it doesn't matter. It's done.
Yeah,
it's done at this point. So it is what it is. And then we just went out there and owned it. We were not the best dancers. It was not our best performance of the choreography when we performed it at ILHC, but people loved it.
I think that's really important. It's like, you just know that not everything's going to be a winner, and that's okay, because that's what contests are for. Like, we have to choose someone. Can only be one winner.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's like, are you going to be proud of what you created with a group of people, with your partner, or by yourself, sometimes with a solo routine? Are you going to be proud of what you put down on the floor?
Even if it's just a Jack and Jill.
Even if it's Jack and Jill, like anything, like, you have to be proud about that. If you can't find something good, a pro, in what you just did, then you should really reevaluate yourself and your whole dance experience, because then there's something deeper involved there.
Do you do that with your social dancing at all?
I think that's a topic for another time, because we're getting to the closing here. Because that's a really good question. I can go off for another hour about that.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god.
For next time.
For next time, to be continued.
Where in a world
where we're going,
where Mikey and Rachel talk about dance. What will happen? Where will they go? And who will they meet? Next time on the bright side.
Yep, that's where I'm going to end it.